Hey guys, I wanted to bring up an article that I came across. Actually, it was covered on a couple different sources, and I haven't looked into it a lot yet, but I do plan on reaching out to some people and looking into this more. But I wanted to bring this up, so I'm going to show you the article here, and I'm going to show you it on one or two more sources, and then I'm going to show you the deflection. I mean the quote fact check on it. And I really just wanted to bring this up to see what you guys think about it. So it's FEMA forcibly vaccinating Ida evacuees. Okay, New Orleanians who fled their homes ahead of Hurricane Ida's terrifying wrath and later tried to return to salvage keepsakes and mementos met unwelcome visitors along a treacherous stretch of road, Highway 610, just south of Lake Pontchartrain. Not sure how to say that. At an intersection due east of Meltaire sat four amphibious vehicles with FEMA logos stenciled on either side of the carriage. Beside the vehicles, armed FEMA agents peered through binoculars, watching for persons braving the deluge. Next to them, two CDC personnel handled a cooler brimming with C-19 Vs. Dennis Farrell, New Orleans native, and his son Chris had been traversing the perilous stretch of road when he spotted the curious roadblock ahead of his GMC Yukon. He knew that Louisiana's governor, John Bel Edwards, had ordered evacuees to avoid the city at all costs, citing flooding, down power lines, scorching heat, lack of potable water, potential death as his gravest concerns. But at the hotel where Mr. Farrell had been staying, he had heard other Ida refugees discussing ignoring the governor's mandate because roving bands of looters reportedly had been pillaging the city and plundering washed-out homes and businesses. As always during a hurricane, right? People do that. During any kind of disaster, really, they do that, and I really don't know why. People were just terrible. Mr. Farrell was concerned because he had left behind a locked gun cabinet in his wife's jewelry box, and he sought to recover those items before they fell into criminal hands. So, early Tuesday morning, he and his son took to the road in hopes of recovering the valuables until FEMA stopped them in their tracks. FEMA, Mr. Farrell told Real Raw News, intercepted his Yukon and demanded his son exit the vehicle. They weren't concerned for our safety or anything. Those guys had their hands on their rifles while the CDC folks hung behind them. First, they asked me if it was me and Chris. The first thing they asked me was if me and Chris gotten the C-19 shot, and if so, to show them our vaccination cards, Mr. Farrell said. Mr. Farrell admitted, I can't read that there because of this stupid ad, but whatever, son had gotten a V. FEMA agents became combative and belligerent, and admonished them for putting their friends and family at risk by not taking the shot like patriotic Americans do. Mr. Farrell told FEMA he didn't trust the V, citing rushed development and safety advocacy concerns that his family was excellent health with no comorbidities and a little risk of dying from a virus with a 99.6 survival rate. They told me my stupidity was a comorbidity, Mr. Farrell said. The agents, Mr. Farrell added, had great news for him. Fortunately, they had a cooler full of C-19 Vs and CDC medical technicians on hand to administer those Vs. They told me there was a massive Delta outbreak going on around New Orleans, and they weren't letting people back without proof of the shot or getting the shot right then and there. When I told them I didn't want my property looted, they told me if my valuables got stolen, it'd be a small price to pay compared to the damage I might cause by spreading C around the community. They said if I wanted to pass, I had to take their shot. If I didn't, I'd have to turn around, Mr. Farrell said. Mr. Farrell refused the mark and told FEMA that mandatory marks violated his God-given constitutional rights. Rather than push the issue and risk engagement with maniacal armed federal officials, he swung in the opposite direction and headed back to the hotel. Quote, we'd rather lose our stuff to looters than be slaves to government. In closing, Mr. Farrell said that he had spoken via phone to neighbors who had similar encounters with FEMA. RRN has not yet independently verified additional claims. So, they haven't yet independently verified additional claims, but this is from Best News Here. Now, let me show you something else. This one is from truth11.com, and it's the same exact article here, right? And what I was thinking is that there was a lot of detail in here. This does not seem like something that you could make up. Just the details in this makes it believable, but I like to do my independent research before I bring it to you guys. But I decided to bring this one to you guys so I can get your help in verifying this or debunking it, which I hope to do the latter, because this would be a horrible sign. Now, let's go to the, quote, fact check of it. Okay, so within an hour that those articles went up, Lead Stories picks it up, and so far this is the only fact check, quote, gatekeeper thing I could find. And it says FEMA is not forcibly vaccinating Hurricane Ida evacuees. But look how they have forcibly in quotations. So technically, they didn't forcibly hold Mr. Farrell down or whatever, but let's see what they have to say. Did the Federal Emergency Management Agency force C-19 vaccines onto Hurricane Ida evacuees who were leaving New Orleans? No, that's not true. FEMA told Lead Stories this is false. Okay, so right off the bat. So FEMA told them that this was false. So I was talking to Reagan a minute ago about this, and we were going on about it, and I said, yeah, that's like if I, punched you in the face, and then our neighbors came over, and I was like, oh, no, that didn't happen. I never did that to her. And, they would be like, oh, well, he said it didn't happen, so we got to believe him. That's the kind of situation this is. So already, it's very weird. Users on social media only saw this title, description, and thumbnail. So there's this. Article continues, and they go on about what we already read in the article. Unfortunately, misinformation and rumors often circulate during times of disaster. No, FEMA and CDC are not forcibly vaccinating Hurricane Ida evacuees. We've also contacted the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell for his fact check. We will update the story if they respond. So they have not responded yet. And then they go on about Real Raw News, but there's other sources that picked it up, not just the two that I pulled up. And it goes on about Real Raw News has a long history of publishing false claims and mock news stories, blah, blah, blah. And then it talks about a disclaimer, which everybody has a disclaimer. So I'm really just trying to go through here and make sure that, honestly, I'm just trying to verify if this is true or not. So I will need your help. If you know anybody down in New Orleans evacuating, if they have their personal stories or anything like that, please, please, please let me know in the comments of this video here. So they were pretty quick with this deflection here, and their only proof that it's not true is that FEMA told them that it wasn't true. Well, we know FEMA, we know the government, and they lie all the time, of course, and this would be something that they would most definitely do, because just like during Katrina, they were going around taking people's guns. We've all seen the footage, even though they said they weren't, they were. So this is the kind of stuff that we have to dig through, and I'm asking for your guys' help on this one, because it's getting to be a lot. It really is. So I would appreciate the help, and as always, God bless you all.